Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. I'm Kel McDonald. I make comics that you can read at kelmcdonald.com. Alina, Alina, I have new werewolves to talk about. New werewolves. They're not necessarily good werewolves, but they're new werewolves to talk about. I recently watched The Pack on Paramount Plus, which I went in thinking it was a sequel to MTV's Teen Wolf. So I didn't expect it to be good, but I expected it to be silly fun times. Turns out it's not connected to Teen Wolf at all, other than they have the same writer and special effects team. Like the creator of MTV, the showrunner of MTV's Teen Wolf is showrunning this. Um, yeah, it also involves werewolves, and he like reuses some of the same special effects. That's yeah. Which I don't blame him for reusing the special effects. The issue comes in. So the plot is there's a giant wildfire. And yeah, there's a giant wildfire. Some teens that were getting evacuated on the high school bus because the wildfire happened while they were all at school. Um, the bus gets stuck in traffic. Bunch of animals are fleeing the woods. Because there's a big fire. Yes, and one is a werewolf. Um, and it bites two of the teens on the bus. Um, one teen, one teen, has all the anxiety and frequent panic attacks. Um, and being a werewolf apparently cures his panic attacks. Which he's like, yeah, yeah, that's where he's like, great, awesome. I support all this going on. Um, other character. So that's the guy who becomes a werewolf. And then there is a girl who becomes a werewolf. And the way that werewolfism is healing her is she had a bunch of acne scars. And they heal up. Um, yes. Yes. That seems to be the message they're going for. Um, Also, werewolfism makes you neurotypical, see anxiety disorder kids disorder getting cured. Which it's good for him because he's like, great, don't got to know anxiety no more. Where it gets dicey is um girl character has an autistic younger brother. And so it turns out that there are two teens at their high school that are already werewolves, and you find out that last time there was a big wildfire, their dad, who is a park ranger, found them in the woods as puppies, little baby wolves. And he was saved them and was expecting to like drop them off at like a wolf reserve thing. And then they turned into babies. Yeah, so basically, not even Wolfsreen happened, the movie Wolf Children happened. Um, so he has raised these little werewolves since he found them while they were puppies. Um, he um they're twins, they're a boy and a girl. The girl is all like, I want to find other werewolves so we can have a pack. and boy werewolf is having conflict with park ranger dad, basically saying, "You're not my real dad." Flip the table over, storm off. Um, and so there is conflict there, but like park ranger dad is overall a good dad. Like that is repeatedly stressed. Um, yes, basically. Well, one of them is a shitty werewolf teen, the other is a average nice-ish teen. Um, so then like some force pulls all the werewolves to meet. An interesting thing the show did is all the werewolves don't have the werewolf powers as we think of them. They each only have one, and it's only when they hang out together that they all have what we think of as werewolf powers. So like one has super hearing, one has super sense, one is really fast, one is really strong. Um and the idea is that if they hang out in our pack, they will all get all the powers. Um yeah, basically. So um Sarah Michelle Gellar shows up and is investigating the start of the wildfires. And the werewolf that bit the teens has done some murders. Like and it turns out they find out that they are like connected to the werewolf that bit them in a way that like all the people that get murdered are people they have a fight with like the day before. So while werewolf that bit them is out of control, it can feel their emotions and stuff. So it's like shitty cop roughs up um male teen wolf twin, and then shitty cop gets eaten. Girl, yeah, girl bullies the girl with the autistic brother, and then her bully gets eaten. Like it's all stuff like that. Like and meanwhile, like Sarah Michelle Gellar's character investigating this fire, looking for an arsonist, and like, but every time there's a suspect, she's like, I know that that person that we think did it didn't actually do it. And turns out, so you get twin backstory. Like I said, they get found in the woods. Um, boy werewolf wants to find his real dad. Um, because he says as a kid he saw a wolf in the woods that he's convinced is his real dad. So his real dad is in the woods somewhere. So at first they are like, my real dad is the one that bit you. Then they find out while investigating the fire that the teens got found in, the baby wolves got found in. Turns out there were two werewolves and some fire marshals killed one. So they're like, oh, our real dad is, when he's not killing our bullies, he is killing whoever killed our mom. Plot twist, that is not what happened. Um, um, Turns out Sarah Michelle Gellar is their mom. Werewolf that got killed 10 years ago was their dad. Guy Wolf that the teen saw while looking for his real dad is actually their secret brother that has been stuck as wolf the whole time. And Sarah Michelle Gellar started the fires because that was the only way to get their brother out of hiding. Um, well, no, because he's stuck as a wolf or whatever. So she burnt a shit ton of fire. She started a huge forest fire, so he would be forced to flee the woods. Yeah, basically. So so where it gets into like so at first she is kind of hostile to um uh Wolf Twins adopted dad. And then she kind of warms up to him to the point where I was like, are they gonna hook up or that is that where they're trying to lead this? Because they're um that is less where they were going and more she's like um at the end after it's revealed that she is the wolf, she started the fire and is also a werewolf. She is like, hey, um we should all be one big happy wolf family together. Because so she goes to park ranger guy and is like, "You are clearly a good dad, and and you really care about them, and I've seen that, and I was mad at you for taking my kids, but now I see that you took really good care of them. Like, um, so would you? So like, it ends on a cliffhanger where she's like, do you want to be their werewolf dad now? And yeah, you can be their werewolf dad. Like, so not necessarily, oh, they're gonna hook up, but it is like co-parenting situation is what she is proposing. Um, this is where it gets iffy. Is she the bad guy or not? Because she did start all those fires and helped covered up all the murder. Um, Who's granted son is out of control, so he is not in his right mind, and she doesn't want people to find out about werewolves in general. But the where it gets iffy is she goes to like the kids that got bit and is trying to sell them on Operation Big Happy Werewolf Family. Um an anxiety kid is easier to sell on Big Happy Werewolf Family because he has all the anxiety and werewolfism cured that. Also, his parents suck. His mom, like, flat out just does not like him. Like, it is, it is, well, I think it's to make it so he is eager to jump on board. Um, because, like, his mom basically treats the fact that he has severe anxiety as like an inconvenience and annoyance and like is just the worst mom. Like um and like she's just awful. So when Sarah Michelle Gellar's like, I can be your new mom, like you can see why he would be on board with mom that doesn't actively hate him. But she's not a pyromaniac. She had an express purpose for starting that fire. Um where it gets dicey is she then goes to girl with autistic brother and says, "Let's make him a werewolf too, and that will cure his autism." And and girl who is not on board with being a happy werewolf family is like, my brother doesn't need to be fixed. Um, and then like Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is like, well, that's what society says you're supposed to say. Like that's the politically correct answer. Like Wouldn't your no, she doesn't say that, she just says, "Wouldn't your lives be easier if we fixed him?" Um, and while this is happening, um, so here's the other thing is, when this is happening, I don't know because she is a fire marshal, I don't know how she could have set this up, but she, like, after making the proposals, all the kids' like lives get worse um because like kind of to try to I guess force them to pick being a happy werewolf family. But it's unclear if it's like she had any say in that because like I told you kid with anxiety, his mom hates him. um his he goes to be like, "Mom, I'm gonna use the car," and mom is like, "No," um, for very flimsy reasons, but it's basically because she hates him. Um, and then, he says to her, "You should be nice to me." And then she's like, "What? I am nice to you." And he's like, "No, you're not. You're awful to me." And then he takes the car keys out of her hands. Um Yeah, now that he doesn't have anxiety. And then later, his dad shows up and is with like doctors and orderlies to be like, "We're having you committed because you threatened your mother." And like, he was the only one like in the room with her when he did that. So it's like, he's about to get committed. Um, then, girl with the autistic brother, social services shows up and are going to take her and her younger brother into foster care, and since he is special needs, they're getting split up. Like, so it's like, I don't well, her dad is frequently shown to be not the most together guy. Like, um, uh at the beginning of the series, because they're fleeing because of wildfires, she's like, "There's a motel on after this highway exit." And he's like, "How do you know that there's a motel there?" And she says to him, and some dialogue that I think is really well done, she's like, "Well, I'll give you two options and you can pick the one that you like better. One, I know there's a motel there because I fucked a bunch of dudes in that motel room. Two, she's like 15. Um, and then she goes, "Or I took my little brother to that hotel room because you and mom were screaming at each other for 3 hours and you did not notice that we left. And then when we came back, you were drunk on the couch. And mom was gone, and I don't think you realized that we left at all." Like, um not the best dad. It seems like he was worse, but is currently trying to be better. Is the status that they gave him during the show. Um, because it's like that happens, and then there's a conversation where he is on the part of the reason why he doesn't realize that his daughter is a werewolf now is the wildfires burnt their house down, and he is on the phone with the insurance company because they don't want to follow through on his claim because he missed some payments. Um, so um, it seems like they're trying to present him as not a great dad, but trying his best. Um, Yeah, and so I can see social services being like, we cannot leave this special needs child with this guy that can't even remember to pay his insurance bill. Um, and yeah, so I like the bit where the wolves have to be together to all get their powers. I'm unclear on if Sarah Michelle Gellar is supposed to be a villain because it's like they start to set her up for a villain, but then there's a plot twist that yeah, because the thing is like the guy who they found out who told them there were 2 werewolves in the woods, it turns out is trying to kill all werewolves because werewolves killed the rest of his team. So it's like last minute switch to this random guy being the villain. Um So maybe they do wanna make Sarah Michelle Gellar a good guy now, but, it's yeah. Yeah, and the kid that has autism is not the best written, but also not the worst written. Um, he has some tics, but not super, like, offensive. It's also he's 5, so, um they have some wiggle room there that what's the autism and what's him being 5. Yeah. Yeah, um, and his tics are, I feel like, specific enough that they are probably based off someone's actual autistic kid, like, if someone was in the writer's room and was like, "I have an autistic five-year-old," yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, but it's also, because he's 5, they're getting away with some stuff. Yeah, um, I was expecting a sequel to Teen Wolf, and got this instead. Um, yeah, I was expecting more Voltron wolves. That is not what I got. Anyway, you've been watching Chainsaw Man. Tell me your chainsaw thoughts. Did you get to Power, the best character? Yeah. I love when they're getting there and Denji says something to her and she's like, "Oh, is that what I claimed was going on?" Like she doesn't even remember the lie that she did. Yeah. Except she does love Meowie. Meowie is yeah. I like I also like, when Power is like, "Oh, I wanna save my cat," and Denji's like, "Cats are stupid," and she's like, "If you help me, you can touch my boob," and he's like, "That fiend stealing your pure innocent cat," like, yeah. The part where he actually touches her boob is great, and did that part happen? Yeah, and the falsie falls out. What are your thoughts on the other characters besides Power, Best Girl? Mm. Mhm. Um, that is even better in the comic, because, like, in the animation in the comic, like, the paneling gets, like, closer and closer to the other guy's face, like, every time it shows Dingy being, um, a shitty roommate, like, it's very much like how, uh you feel how claustrophobic it is now that Denji has invaded this guy's space. Um, he has the ultimate toast now. A figure a figurine that they sold of Denji, if you pre-ordered it, came with an accessory that was dubbed the ultimate toast, which was toast with every type of jam on it. Good jam. Um, what do you think of, Miss Makima? Oh, that's they missed all my delightful explanation of terrible werewolf things. I I would like the ultimate toast. Uh, oh, okay. Uh,
Audio. Okay, there we go. I have audio now. So nobody's been able to hear me this entire time. That's fine. You've just been talking to yourself on my stream. Hi, everybody. I'm here now. My mic was muted. But yeah. So I was saying that in Chainsaw Man, I there's something up with Makima because she's got the same weird
she got
eyes
weird
that
eyes.
Power has. I'm like, well, we've seen that demons have weird eyes. Or devils have weird eyes. She's got weird eyes, but she's human, maybe? Who knows? But she had to go before the board and like explain herself, so I suspect that she is on a leash the same way that the rest of them are. And we will find out more about that later. Again, I know nothing about the manga. I only this is like I'm going in completely fresh
Oh,
to this.
you should definitely read the manga
Yeah.
when you are done watching the anime.
Hmm.
And there is a great sort of analysis video of all of the references in the opening credits.
Oh, good.
But I can't send it to you until you know what's up with Makima.
Okay. I
Uh,
will. I will text you when I'm done with that. I'll like Discord you and be like, "Yo, I got to that episode."
they will not reveal it in the anime
Oh.
until next season.
Oh.
Um, because this
Because
season
you
is
know I
like
don't
the
fancy
halfway point
werewolves?
of the first arc.
Gotcha.
Um, and Makima's thing is revealed in the second half.
Gotcha.
But
Fascinating.
you should also, while you're at it, read Look Back, which is the one shot by the same author of Chainsaw Man.
Oh, really?
Um, it is so before Chainsaw Man, the author made a comic called Fire Punch that
Okay.
did not do well because for as weird as Chainsaw Man is,
Mm-hmm. Fire Punch is weirder?
Fire Punch is so much weirder. It's
Huh.
like, here's our main character, and he's on fire all the time and is in constant pain because he's on fire.
Okay.
Um,
That's definitely a thing.
and
That's a choice.
yeah, so we got the so then now that he has had his commercial success and can go back to being a little bit of a weirdo, and
He's like, yeah, let's go
he
whole
he
hog on this. Let's go real weird.
he has made well, he's made two one shots.
Mm.
One is Look Back, which is deeply personal,
Hmm.
clearly. Like when you read it, like cuz it is about, it starts with a girl in high school who loves to draw manga
Mm-hmm.
and draws manga for the school newspaper. And then there's another person who does a comic for the school newspaper, and it's better than hers.
Ooh.
So she needs to confront this person. She does, and this person is like a shut in that is sort of homeschooled
Right.
for various reasons.
And it's like the only
Um,
reason I have all this time to work on it is because I am not at school.
well, it's also she gets there and the person's like, "Oh, I'm such a big fan of your comics." Like they
Aw.
don't realize that this is coming as like a rival coming to confront them. This is they're
Right.
like, "Oh, I love your stuff."
Cool.
Like so she came to like yell and challenge this shut-in and they're
Uh-huh.
like, "I love your work and it's super nice." And then they become best friends.
Aw. That's great.
And they push each other to do artwork
Aw.
more and more.
Just like
Um,
good rivals should. You push each other to be the best person you can.
and then the
Good boy, Mary. Come on, Pippin, stand up.
um
Good boys. My birds escaped their bed and went back to the couch. Now they're in bed for real.
so yeah, so they um then they make some manga together,
Hmm.
and it's
Manga
all
best
fun.
friends. Good.
Manga best friends. Um,
That sounds.
and one of them becomes a mangaka and makes a comic that is very clearly Fire Punch.
Yep, 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 yep.
Um, the other goes to animation school and
Mm.
is killed by
Oh
an
no.
attack on the animation school.
What? Holy
And
crap.
it's sort of like
That got very dramatic fast.
yeah, and like the attack is very similar to and playing off an attack that happened at the Kyoto Animation School in
Ooh,
Japan.
right.
So I don't know if the mangaka had a friend die in that, but like I would not be surprised. But this like
Yeah. Especially since the
then
rest of it
like
sounds like very drawn from
um
life.
and and then like the mangaka main character is like, oh, if we hadn't become friends, she would still be a shut-in, and then she would have been safe.
Right, and that's
And
what I
then I could
thought.
have like successfully fought off her attacker. Like it goes into like a weird fantasy of like,
Oh man.
I could have stopped this like killer attacking
If
the
only.
yeah, and then um the conclusion is, but if we weren't best friends, then like I wouldn't have had this great friendship. Like,
Right.
yes, I couldn't have saved her, but
Which is maybe
in
the
this
mangaka and him
actual
together.
reality, but like now I have this friendship to remember her by. Um
Interesting.
so it's like weird but also very personal. And is definitely the author working through some shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Um Their other comic is called Goodbye Eerie. This is their other one shot. Um, and this one is like about the power of movies and storytelling. Um, and uh, it starts with a kid who is making a movie documenting his mom dying of cancer.
Woof.
Um, and then it turns out, and like his dad sees the movie and is super upset. And at first you think it's like, oh, it's because dad is sad that mom is dying. But then it turns out that like mom was an asshole and dad is upset because like she forced the main character to make this movie that makes her look like a great mom. Like
Oh, man. That took a
Um,
turn.
and and then meanwhile, the main character meets a girl at the hospital who's dying of something different. Um, and then they explode a warehouse, and then it turns out that was a movie they made together. And then
Oh,
like there's very frequently a shocking thing happens, cut to, and this is a movie they made together. Like
fascinating.
uh, um so it is really interesting and trying to keep you on your toes.
Huh.
And it also seems to be an excuse to practice people walking away from explosions in a badass manner.
Excellent.
Because that happens like 5 times in this comic.
Okay, so I'd heard a thing about the Chainsaw Suit comic. Is it true that the guy who draws it cannot draw shoes and will go out of his way to not draw shoes?
I feel like he draws shoes fine. They're all
Oh,
high tops, but
that's
like,
fine. I like a good high
yeah.
top.
I mean, he's
There's a
drawing the
thing on.
same shoe, so
That's
so
fine.
maybe he can only draw one shoe.
Yeah, there's a thing on Tumblr about like something something chainsaw suit guy. Maybe he'll learn how to draw shoes now. And I was like, is that a thing? Is he not? Does he not do shoes?
I mean, he's only been drawing high tops, so
Those are still a
maybe
viable. Also, his
I
characters all are like the sort of dude who would wear a shoe, who would wear only high tops.
but, like, even like I think, like, even Miss Makima wears high tops, like, so
He's gotta run from
maybe
demons.
he needs to learn to draw different types of shoes,
Maybe,
but,
maybe that's the joke. I don't know.
um, what's a great joke is, because Denji is a feral child,
Yes.
um, in the 2nd arc of Chainsaw Man, this isn't a spoiler because they cannot translate this joke into English. Um, there's a part where, I sent you that panel of the girl on the date with Denji being like, "I'm great at fish facts."
Yes, that was very cute.
Yeah.
And then she just gets so
So
done
that
talking
is
about fish, and I was like, good, excellent. I love
that's
this.
that is, from the 2nd arc, and, Denji does not appreciate those fish facts.
He should. They're beautiful.
Um,
Good fish facts.
so she tells him, "Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell," and that is written in kanji.
Yep.
Um, and because and Denji replies with "Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell," and because he can't read, that is written in hiragana.
That's cute. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way to translate that.
Yeah, they can't translate that in English, but it's like
No.
that's very funny.
You could if you like had his word balloon in kind of like crayon font, I guess. But even that would imply that he can write, which he cannot. He's a
Yeah.
feral child. I like the very subtle way that, like, in the brief first half of the first episode where you see him, he's got like
Mhm.
normal teeth, and then as soon as he's
Mhm.
all demony, he gets the cool bitey teeth.
Mm, the bitey bite teeth.
And
Yeah.
all of the demons have bitey bite teeth, which are very good. I like a sharp tooth boy. I like a sharp tooth girl.
Not
I like
all the
very good character
demons have
design.
bitey bite teeth.
Oh, spoilers. Not really.
My favorite demon is the chicken demon who looks like just a plucked chicken that has not been cooked yet.
Good. That's a good scary design. I like it. Birds look weird without their feathers. Have you ever seen
Well,
a
see, this looks like a chicken that's like it has its head cut off. It's like prepared to be cooked. It just hasn't been cooked
oh,
yet.
gotcha.
So it's not even scary, and that is the point that it is not
Good.
supposed to be scary because
Excellent.
devils get their power from how much people are scared of them, and the
Yeah, and it's
joke is that
not.
no one is scared of chickens.
It's just a chicken. I know some people that are scared of chickens or birds generally. Although,
Yeah,
people should be more scared of chickens than they are. Chickens are violent, violent little
yeah.
maniacs.
So it's fun because it's just like a little chicken that's like, "Hi, everybody." Uh,
I am a weird little thing.
mhm.
I like the idea that demons are based off of things that people fear. As someone who has listened to many hours of the Magnus Archives, I am here for the fears. The more somebody fears something, the more power you give it. That's just a very good way to
Um,
do uh,
what I like
those sort of
is,
powers.
uh, apparently the strongest demons are, like, the ones that are primordial fears. That's how they're
Yes,
described.
yeah.
Um, because in the 2nd season, 2nd arc, I mean, they just introduced a demon, um, and all we get before we find out what type of devil it is, all we get is that it is a primordial fear.
Mm.
So, me and Corey and some other people who were all
You got Chainsaw
reading Chainsaw
theories.
Man as it comes out.
Yeah.
we were trying to guess what one it was. I was the one that was correct.
Good.
Uh,
So, like in the Magnus Archives, the primordial fears are very very interesting because it's like being hunted. Um, Death obviously is like the biggest primordial fear, but there's also things like drowning or being buried or heights or falling.
I don't know if death would be a primordial fear in the way that Chainsaw Man does it.
Hmm.
Because all the primordial fears are things that like animals are also scared of.
Yeah,
So I guess dying in general would be scary, but like the concept of death um
is not a thing that
wouldn't.
animals generally are. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've only met two as far as the manga is concerned.
Hmm.
The first one was Darkness.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Um and then the one that we just met that I guessed correctly is Falling.
Mm, good.
Um
I do like the vast. The vast is very good.
yeah.
That's the Magnus Archives version.
Yeah, so I am interested to see where this goes. A lot of people have already drawn sexy fan art of the falling devil. If you've seen a lady with a lot of arms and a chef's hat
Nope.
um
But that's I
on
know
the
where it is from
internet,
now.
that's yeah, that's the falling devil. Because basically a bunch of people fell and she like took pieces of their bodies and made herself a body.
Ah.
So she has more arms than she needs. Um, but yeah.
If I had a huge fear to manifest near me, it would definitely be the fear of deep water. I have a little bit of thalassophobia. Do not like not being able to see what is under me when I'm in the water. It's not good. Don't like it. Not here for it. I love playing
I don't
Subnautica
like
though. Subnautica has
I don't
all of my fears, but I still love it.
I don't I don't like insects. I don't
Ah,
like them.
okay.
Um
I don't mind a lot of
I
insects.
think
It's
it's I don't
more
like
so.
them
Yeah,
touching me
yeah.
is the main thing.
That's the main thing. Oh, that's another one of the big fears in Magnus Archives is the fear of infestation or sickness, which often
Mhm.
manifests through awful bugs all over people, which is the grossest. Uh, yeah, infestation episodes are always real gross. And they usually, because it's an audio drama, they have all these like really squelchy noises. It's very gross.
Uh, don't like that.
Nope.
I got asked if I wanted to hold a bug, and I'm like, unless you want me to randomly drop it and then accidentally squish it, it is best that I do not hold the bug.
Yeah, yeah. I I know that fear because like I had a friend be like, "Do you want to hold this, my pet spider?" And I was like, "I will appreciate it from afar. I'm not actually scared of spiders, but it if it's on me, it will move unexpectedly, and I will like twitch, and I
Yeah,
don't want to hurt it because it's very delicate." But I'm usually the one in my household who has to. If there's a big spider, I go and I get the Tupperware and catch
oh,
it. I don't like squishing them.
I kill those motherfuckers.
Mm.
I will not tolerate them in my house.
Your
Um,
grandmother spider's full of wisdom, and she'll make it rain if you mistreat her kids.
that's fine. I live in Portland. It's
Oh,
always raining.
fair.
Just don't want them in my house.
Yep. I So I don't know if talking about bugs bothers you or if it's just seeing them.
No, it's them being on me.
Okay, then I will go ahead with my story. I'm from Saskatchewan. We do not have really big bugs there. We just have really big mosquitoes all summer. Um, but in BC, they have something called the giant house spider, which is super aptly named. And I didn't realize this until we moved here, and we've been living here for about a year. And something the size of like a kitten wandered across the floor. And I
Ah!
was like, what the actual hell? Like, not maybe not a kitten,
No!
but like
That is too
definitely,
big.
definitely bigger than the span of my hand. And I was like, nope. I went to go and get a
Too
cup
big.
to like, because Lane was like, "Yeah, there's a spider, come and get it." And so I like brought my usual cup and paper over to catch it. I was like, "Oh, this is bigger
No,
than the cup.
no,
I need like a pot."
no, no, sir. I don't like it.
It was real big. I haven't seen that one that big since. Woof. I'm glad I haven't.
Uh, they get that big in Savannah. There were big
Ooh,
spiders like
nope,
that.
nope. Uh, I also had a real bad incident with a centipede or millipede, I suppose, when I was in Fiji. There was this one particular kind of millipede that lived there that are red and black, which already told me that I'm like, oh, this is toxic as fuck. I don't want this thing to bite me.
Mhm.
And then my roommates also warned me. They're like, yeah, do not let those things bite you. They'll burn like a fire ant. And I'm like, cool, don't want that. Um, so I was getting changed in my room one day because we had because everything gets really humid and really hot during the summer, the houses all kind of have an open air section. So like the
Mhm.
roof doesn't quite meet the walls. There's like a 2 inches in between them, so you get airflow throughout the house all year, and it never gets really cold enough. They need to be insulated. But it means bugs come into the house all the time. So I was getting changed, and I felt something fall down my arm, like at the point
No.
where your shirt is up over your head and you can't see, but also you can't move your arms. I felt something like fall down my arm and then down my side, and I was like, "Oh no,
Ah,
oh I don't
ah,
like this."
ah.
And I sure looked down in time to see one of those guys like skittering right around my ankle, and I was like, "Oh God, don't bite me, don't bite me."
I hate that.
It was the
No,
worst. And so I had to hold perfectly still until it was far enough away for me to freak the fuck out and run to my neighbor's house. And be like, help, 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 help. And I didn't realize I was still not wearing a shirt. Ran over there in a bra, being like, come help me, please.
no, sir. I don't
Hmm.
like it.
Nope, it was the worst. Not a fan. I almost drew her with her scarf up, but she's drinking, so nope. I've gotten so used to drawing this character in a scarf because she's outdoors for most of the book. But she takes her scarf off from time to time, especially to drink.
I am coloring "You Are the Chosen One" pages.
Nice. I had to reference the hands on this because it's a very particular angle of like cupping your hands to drink melted snow water from. And it's like
Um,
that needs some reference.
you need the new feature in the new version of Manga
I
Studio.
saw it looks so cool. I haven't tried it yet.
I haven't either. I don't want to install it until I have
All your
finished the
yeah
current chapter of "You're the Chosen One"
wise, so you
because
don't fuck up your workflow
yeah,
mid go. Yeah, I have it installed because I was sort of in between projects, and I played around with it a bunch this past week. I love the new paint feature. They had it before where you could like drop paint colors down into the color mixing area, but they always tended to
mhm.
kind of gray out. And now they have this like new boosted color mixing. Let me let me mix you some colors here.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really nice. Here, I'm just gonna show it off for the chat because it's real cool. I'm gonna mix some yellow and blue. You can mix it real nice and it doesn't
Um,
get gray. It just stays a really nice mid-tone.
are you a Mel Brooks person?
Yeah.
Did I tell you about History of the World Part 2?
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Uh, I'm still thinking about it. Because like I said, the bits that are funny are really funny.
My partner is a big Mel Brooks fan and was very excitedly telling me about it because I hadn't heard about it up until not recently. It was like a couple weeks ago. But he was like, I can't believe I hadn't told you about this already. I was so excited when I found out. But yeah, so we're definitely watching that one.
Yeah. It it's the nature of sketch shows, it's hit or miss, but
Yeah.
the ones that hit really hit. I'm just kind of like baffled that so one of the bits are is Johnny Knoxville plays Rasputin
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing a Jackass parody with all the ways that Rasputin was killed. And it is so much funnier than it has any right to be. Like killing Rasputin via jackass stunts.
Good.
Like it's him being like, "I'm Rasputin, and this is getting stabbed in the back 50 times and thrown in the river." Like,
Good.
it's on like this like this is so much fun. Like on paper, I was like, this cannot be
This
that
sounds
funny,
dumb.
and
Yeah, it's very
it's
good.
just best use of jackass in history.
Part two.
And trying to think of other stuff that I watched recently. Uh New season of Animaniacs.
Oh yeah.
Um they make fun of Harry and what's her name who he married that the
Mm-hmm.
royals all hate cuz she's black.
I just forget. It's not Kate. It's the other one.
Yeah.
I get so much royal gossip because I'm in Canada, but I'm native, so I don't give a single shit about
I
the
don't care
colonizers and their
either.
dumb families.
My mom cares, and she is so royal pilled that,
Mm-hmm.
like, when Harry's book came out, she
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Well, what's the rest of the family side of the story?" And it's like, "Well, mom, I'd honestly like
Mm-hmm.
one of them did the correct thing in renouncing his royal titles and giving it back to the
Mm-hmm.
people, but
And then he fled to this colony to live here and mooch off of us, fucker.
I mean, I thought he was mooching off his wife's income because she
I
still
mean, yeah,
has a career.
yeah, it's true.
Uh, so he's not necessarily mooching off Canada. He's just mooching off his wife.
He's mooching off his wife and then making occasional press tours of Canada because everyone's like, "We've been trained to love the royals."
Listen, if he started every press conversation with, "So here's the tea," I would maybe start watching them.
Dish, come on. I love watching British people hate on the royals. That's tasty. I could eat that all day. Anytime John Oliver goes on a rant about the monarchy, I'm like, fuck yes, I will eat that up with a spoon.
Um, Also, one of my favorite YouTubers made a video about how Abbott Elementary is oddly the most progressive show on television right now.
Huh.
Like you wouldn't expect it because it's network television.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of
But
it.
actually the fact that it's network television makes it all the more impressive that it is saying what it's saying on network
Yes, yeah,
television.
because you can't get away with shit on network television.
Um,
Literally, you cannot say shit.
do you know much about Abbott Elementary?
I don't absolutely zero.
Okay, so it's about teachers at an underfunded school in Philadelphia.
Good.
And by presenting teachers as people trying their best rather
Mhm.
than either saints or quote unquote corrupters of children,
Mhm.
depending on what
Which,
political spectrum
boy,
you're
is that
on.
ever
Like,
a part of the narrative right now? Good lord.
yeah, so it's kind of like so the mere fact that it's like teachers are human and are doing the best they can
Yes, that's
um
good. As a child of
is
a
is
teacher,
is
I get
good.
that.
Also, like,
I like that a lot.
it's about Philadelphia, which is predominantly black.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so like all the students are black.
Good.
It took a very
Good
firm
rules for a bunch of
anti-charter school stance.
good.
Um, like that was the villain
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
current season
As it should
is
be.
someone who's trying to turn their school into a charter school.
Mhm.
Um, and then like um the cast is predominantly black, but it's not about quote unquote black
Being black. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So it's actually
that's
getting a white audience
nice.
to tune in. Um
And then sneakily also, being like, hey, just so you know, this is stuff that you may not be aware of that is going on actively. Be more aware of it.
and then there is like, while talking about racism and stuff, while they don't like actively talk about it, unless they're making fun of the well-meaning super liberal teacher, the gay white nerd teacher is like the well-meaning white teacher that listens to NPR, and
Oh, yes.
so the only time that they're like whenever like there are political jokes, they're usually at his expense. Um because it's stuff like um main character can't make rent because she just broke up with her boyfriend, so she's used to someone else paying part of the rent.
Yeah.
um
And rents are
and
exorbitant these
so
days, so.
the yeah, so the white liberal teacher lends her money, and it's shot like The Office, like mockumentary, so it then cuts to his little interview with the camera thing, and he says, I gave her what I was going to use for my student loan payment, because President Joey B is going to pass that student loan forgiveness any day now.
Joey B, Jesus Christ.
um
A lot of faith. A lot of
eh,
faith in that there, sir. Oh
yeah,
boy.
and then there's the part where he says like, it's almost um it looks like if so and so was your sister, not that I think that all black people are related. And then the main guy on the show says, well, maybe you do, maybe that was your subconscious talking, and like causes him to panic a little bit. And then it cuts to the main guy like smirking a little. Obviously he said that to like cause a
Yes.
panic. And
Excellent. Good.
yeah. um
Man,
uh
I.
and when
Huh.
And when they're selling candy to, like, raise money for a field trip, the principal flat out instructs them to, um, target white liberals because they'll feel
Mhm.
guilty and will buy the chocolate even if they
Oh,
don't
these
want
poor
it.
black students. Support the poor black
Yeah,
students.
basically.
Okay,
Uh,
did I tell you about when I went to school in the States?
no, Arizona, right?
Yes, I went to school
Uh,
in Arizona because my mom was going there to finish her master's, and we had to be down there for a
mhm.
year. And then she went out for a year on her own to like finish it. She did like a master's in like 2 years. It was crazy. But yeah, so I had to for a year go to school down in Tucson, and that was cool. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't realize how fucked y'all's school system was. Like I knew it was bad, but like Jesus,
It
I went to
depends
one
on the
school.
state.
Yeah, Arizona's not
As
great.
someone who went to school in Massachusetts, I learned more than most people in the US do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Smart. My school in Arizona was so
That
bad
wasn't
that
a choice on my part. That was just the nature
that's
of
just how
where.
how it be.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
yeah, after Arizona, I had to go to like remedial math back in Canada because I was like a year behind everybody else when I was one of the top students before.
Mm,
I was like, damn, okay. But that aside, I couldn't go to the so they have magnets in Arizona, which is a thing I'd never heard of before, where it's like this school does the art program and this one does the engineering program and this one does this, and it's all like about getting you ready for whatever college that you would go into. And I was like,
mhm.
well, I'm not going to college here, so I don't care what's near my house. And the one near my house was the art school, and I'm like, well, I love art, let's go there. And they were like, nope, we could let you in if you were white because we have a low quota. We don't have enough white students, but you are native, so you can't come to this school. And I was like, this is literally the first time I've ever been too native for something. I look real white. Would that work? And they're like, yeah, no, sorry. If you came in and didn't tell us you were native, we would have had you at the school in a heartbeat. But like, sorry. So I ended up having to go to the engineering school, which was like an hour and a half bus ride from my house every day. So I
Ugh,
didn't get home until like 7:30. It's great.
gross, gross,
That's
gross,
fun.
gross.
That was great. Oh, and even later when I decided to join the drama program, I sometimes wouldn't get home till like 9, and I would do all my homework on the bus. Anyway,
Um,
U.S. school system.
but yeah,
It's a problem.
um, it depend. Like I said, it depends on the state. So when editing failure to launch,
Hmm.
um, H Bomber Guy had a line about the British burning the White House down in the War of
Yes.
1812.
In the War of 1812. There's a whole song about it.
Yeah, and I told him, "You can just put that on the English to-do list and not comment on it. We know that you did that. Like, you're selling primarily in America. We know that that
Yeah.
happened."
Yeah, yeah.
Turns out people don't know,
Hmm.
because Amanda did not learn that in school, and she
They
went to
don't
school in
teach it.
Texas.
Yeah.
Um, and I think Spike said she learned about it outside of school. Like, she still learned it as a teenager, but
Right,
learned about
right.
it outside of school. Um, so,
Whereas, like, we're proud
um,
about that here in Canada, even though it wasn't Canadians, it was British. who did it. So we're like, yeah,
yeah.
we could do it again. No, 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 we couldn't. Because y'all have an army and we don't. But yeah, there's a whole song about it by the Arrogant Worms. It's very fun.
I have heard that song.
It's
Yeah.
catchy.
It's to Burning Ring of Fire's tune, kinda.
Kinda, yeah.
Um, but yeah, uh yeah, apparently Massachusetts has one of the better schools in the states.
Hmm. Massachusetts school system, very good. I am learning more about Massachusetts via Fallout 4 than I ever knew before. It's good.
Um Malden Pond is a shithole.
Between
And and
discussing things with
and
you and
and
Fallout, my Massachusetts
yeah,
bias has gone up a lot this year.
and I'm glad that Fallout took digs at that guy that made Walden Pond famous, because
Yes.
he's a shithead and his mom did his laundry.
Yep. I have okay. I haven't watched a lot of stuff lately, but I have read just a crap ton of books since last we talked.
Yeah, what good books?
I I think I mentioned when I read the first one. I fell in love with the Murderbot series. I'd been hearing about it for years. I don't know why it never
I still need
clicked
to
with
read
me
that.
that
Yeah.
I would like that one. I don't know what turned me off at first because I remember looking at it at one point and being like, I don't know, but this is for me. And then like sleeping on it for a very long time. Read the first one, absolutely loved it. And I've now read three, and the only reason I haven't read the fourth one is because it's still on hold at the library. And I'm like, if I have to wait for too much longer, I will just buy it because I will reread these books so much. I love Murderbot's snark. I love that Murderbot does not like humans. Like it's just like it's uncomfortable to be around humans. I do not like them for many reasons. One of which is that they made me murder a bunch of people, which is why I call myself Murderbot. But also like it's literally my programming and purpose to protect them, and they're all idiots. They're very bad at staying alive, and it's my problem, and I hate that. Such fast, like such really witty books. Fast reads, love them, highly recommend them. At the very opposite end of the scale is the Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu, or yeah, Liu.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, those are dense. They are very, very dense. They are translated from Mandarin, I believe.
I think I think I've heard of those because the guys who were the showrunners of Game of Thrones
Mm,
were gonna adapt them to Netflix, a
really?
Netflix TV show, and everyone was like, "I'm sorry, what?"
But what though?
Yeah, no, could you not find literally anybody else?
Like that,
Like,
but I don't know how you would even do that without a Chinese producer because it's very
yeah,
yeah,
that was basically like
or a
one of
Chinese
the
writer because it's
comments
like
is
really, really, really.
there's so much going on in
It's
those
also
books that like
it's
need annotation, never mind.
densely physics heavy. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very, very all about physics. Fascinating. I just like a brief
I
elevator
don't
pitch for it is basically like so humanity makes contact with an alien race for the first time and it's a problem because the alien race's system is shitty and they're like great we now know where you live and we're coming to take your planet um, but for various physics reasons it's going to take them 4 centuries to get here so the first book is like what changes happen on earth in the 4 centuries while this alien apocalypse is heading our way because they managed to lock down human science and physics so we can't move from where we are for 4 centuries. There's like no way to do any kind of physics. Um,
uh-huh.
and so they're like, well, we can't out technology them, so we're all going to die once they get here. Can we not? Are there? How do we think our way out of this? And it's fascinating, but it's very, very mathy and very, very cerebral. Uh, Very interesting. I'm now on the third book of that series, in which he's still the aliens are still a problem, and it is
Mhm.
not all that much later than you would think, because he does some fun things with time and hibernation and stuff. So some of the characters who were in the first book are still alive in the future, which is neat.
Mhm.
Highly recommend, but with a caveat of they are dense. They're dense and very thinky.
Um I only consume audiobooks, so
Mm-hmm.
that might be a later problem.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite horror authors just dropped a book today. I need to pick that up once we're done here. Uh, Ursula Vernon just dropped House with Good Bones, which I know already is going to be scary as fuck. Very looking forward to reading it, but also terrified. I don't read a lot of horror. I don't find it interesting in a
I'm
lot of
usually bored
cases.
by horror
Yeah.
personally.
Yes, same. But Ursula is the exception um, because her horror is American Gothic's the wrong way to put it, but a lot of her horror is feels like what would happen if you and your friends like wandered across something that's supernatural. Like all of the characters are like, "Yo, this is fucked, and we should not be messing with it." but then it finds a way to mess with
Mhm.
them anyway. And it's very nice to see this, like, let's not just wander off into the woods like idiots. They're like, nope, this is fucked. Let's leave. And then they can't for reasons.
Um, I also still like watching YouTube videos by the Song of Ice and Fire conspiracy theory guys.
Oh, good.
Um, their newest one is what if Matt Smith's character is the hero all along?
Interesting.
Um, not in the show.
Okay.
They're acknowledging show different. Like he's a piece of shit in the show. Everyone's kind of a piece of shit in the show.
Well, that's the whole point of Game of
Um,
Thrones, is everyone's a piece of shit, kind of.
yeah. Um, but so like their thing is like since the book that the show is based off of is like guy 100 years later stitches together a bunch of unreliable narrator things um trying to figure out what really happened by reading between the lines and going over well what does and doesn't make sense.
Oh, yeah, I think you were telling me
um
about this, where they were, like, going through and going.
yeah,
Right.
they're
So it's
going
through
through
the
like so
lens of the
like the
court
example I
scribe.
think I gave you is oh, he always had his daughter by his side and she's his cupbearer and it's like so he's a drunk.
Yes.
Like that's a way to
Never
call the
far
king a
from his
drunk
wine.
without um and so one of the things is like they try to play up the rivalry as like even sided in the book.
Hmm.
Um but like in the book really what it is it's an adult woman calling her 10-year-old stepdaughter a slut over and over again. Like when
Right.
you read between the lines, it's
Right.
like the the Greens called into question Rhaenyra's chastity and it's like she is 10.
Yikes.
Um and then they're like her champion slash sworn shield, Christopher Cole, and it's like well, he's the Kingsguard assigned to protect her, and she's 12. So, like, of course he went everywhere with her. Like,
Yeah,
that's
of
not
course.
romantic.
No. She's 12
The
and sworn to
yeah,
protect her.
that's the and so then there's
It's literally his job, is
a
to go with her.
rumor that he took her virginity. And it's like how would people know that?
Hmm.
Because no, the rumor is not that he took her virginity. The rumor is that um Damon, Matt Smith's character, taught her how to perform like oral sex and gave her quote unquote kissing lessons when
Ah.
she's like 12
Ah.
and they would meet up in secret to do this and it's like okay, if they were meeting in secret, who is the source?
Yes.
Two, um she always has her sworn shield like you just said that the sworn shield was always by her side.
You would think he would know.
Was he always by her side or not? Like you think he would have noticed Damon sniffing around all the time.
Hmm. Or,
um
like, being asked to
and
leave
then
whenever he was there. And they're like, private smooching times. Hmm.
and then like so it's all these like holes in the story.
Hmm.
um
That definitely sounds like somebody sowing rumors.
But so he just dug into Matt Smith's character, and oh, supposedly he killed his wife who fell during a hunting journey. And it's like, well, he was on the Stepstones way far south. So how did he cause her accident on this hunting journey? Like, did he fly up there, briefly go on a hunt
Mm.
with her,
Well,
and
that's right, because
then
they don't live
leave?
underground with dragons.
Um, and but then the other thing is like, unlike in the show he like very clearly did it and beats her to death with a rock.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whereas in the book, she falls off her horse and then doesn't die for 4 days.
Mm.
So it's like, how would he have killed her during the hunting trip? And also, if he was planning to kill her during the
Why did he
hunting
wait four
trip,
days?
why did it take that long to
Yeah.
finish her off?
Yeah. Or
And
it's like a really bad untreated concussion. That's about 4 days.
um well, she was bedridden, so it like
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
implies that she was maybe paralyzed or something.
Right.
But anyway, so they're like, and then he went to um visit Valarians, and so he could ask to marry their daughter. But the problem is that she was already engaged to this other guy. So Damon killed that other guy so he could marry her. And it's like, that makes it sound like he murdered the dude just because.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude maybe got set up. Like the dude challenged Matt Smith's character to a duel, and
Ah.
like based on, because he's Bravosi, and in Song of Ice or Fire everyone in Bravos duels at the drop of the hat,
Yes.
and it is offensive to wear black um, in Bravos because only fancy nobles wear black. So by wearing black or even dark gray, you're like being uppity and above your station.
Gotcha.
So Targaryen colors are red and black. So you have
Mm.
Daemon shows up wearing black, and then gets challenged to a duel. Like it might have been that Lena's dad didn't like her fiance because he wasn't politically advantageous anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because the whole reason why she was engaged to this guy is because his dad was in charge of Bravos, but
Gotcha.
then his dad died, and Bravos isn't like hereditary titles, it's like all
Mm-hmm.
elections. So
They were like, well, we don't need you
this
anymore.
guy is now, yeah, this guy's now useless. So let's get rid of him by putting him in a situation where he will probably challenge Damon to a duel.
Yeah.
Um, so it kind of seems like Damon got set up to take the blame for this guy fighting him.
Right.
Um, but then there's also stuff that's like um, claims that Damon took Rihanna, his niece's virginity. But again, there's like, who would have seen this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, while he has fights with his brother forgives him eventually. And if he had done that, then like
Yeah.
he would not have been forgiven. He would have been killed.
Yes.
Like, so, what he thinks has happened is Damon just said, "Hey, brother, my wife just died. Can I marry your kid?" And his brother said, "No, fuck you. That's
Mm-hmm.
gross."
Mm-hmm.
Or that's super inappropriate. And got mad at him for asking, but like him just asking, while it might make her dad mad, would not, like, he could get over it eventually. That
Yeah.
seems like a thing that dad could get over.
I see those like political intrigue books or games and stuff, and it's always like the king cannot, should not listen to any of the gossip that's going on at court, but also you can't discount it
Yeah.
because it does factor into the political situation, even if it's false. I was just thinking about that with the like
Yeah.
rumors about the like, oh, she slept with her guardsman. It's like she's no, obviously not. But also, if that is what people are saying, then it's a thing you need to be aware of politically.
Cause so the thing that he points out is, so they say sworn shield and champion, making it sound romantic even though she's 12.
Yeah.
So that way, when she's 16 and has a different sworn shield and champion, they can claim that that's the father of her kids.
Hmm.
Um, and trying to conflate someone who is assigned to be her bodyguard with
A
someone
romantic.
she is romantically attached
Yeah.
to. Um, and um and it's also like they try to be like, oh, Raina's kids, well, Raina's kids are definitely not her husband's in the show.
Hmm.
In the books it's a little more vague because it's like, oh, they only had sex like this many times because uh what, her husband's probably gay, and um
How does the
since he
line
wasn't in her
from
bed very often, that means that he isn't the dad. But
What is
then
the line
like,
from the Goblin Emperor? It's something like the king could not. While the king could fault him for having his wife murdered, he could not fault a man for having no more congress than his wife than it would take to beget an heir. Something like
yeah,
that.
well, so here's the thing is like, they then sit down and they do the math that's like, okay, this is when they got married, this is when their kid is
Hmm.
born.
Hmm.
And if they supposedly only shared a bed 10 times, then it sounds like it didn't take that long for her to conceive her first kid.
Right.
So like, kind of seems like maybe they fucked 5 times, like twice a week, until she was definitely pregnant,
And then they
and
stopped.
then stopped.
Yeah.
And then after first kid is a year old, if you do the math on when the second kid is born,
It was like, right, so 2 weeks
they
of very intense
yeah.
bed
So
sports,
it
and
seems
then there's a
like
kid
two
done.
2 weeks of very intense break for kid to wean, like
Yep.
break until kid is born and then weaned, and then 2 weeks of very intense doing it again.
Hmm.
Like, so
There are a lot of
it's
naval rumors from like the Napoleonic War where it was like, well, this captain was definitely gay, but also he had like 6 children, and they all uh, um, were sort of on his shore leaves. And it was like, right, so he was home, time to have some children, and then leave again, so I can go be with my
mhm,
actual preferred partners.
yeah. And kind of, so it kind of sounds like there's plausible deniability in the books that
Hmm.
like, because the guy that's supposedly the dad of all the kids,
Hmm.
um has a broken collarbone when the first kid was conceived, so it's
Mm.
kind of like that's,
How up for it was he? Probably not so much.
yeah, probably not so much if he broke his collarbone, because he did a joust during the wedding
uh,
and fell off his horse, so he broke his
oh,
collarbone.
joust during the wedding?
um
Well,
Celebratory joust.
yeah, gotta have a celebratory joust.
um
You certainly don't die that way or anything.
so unless she had a completely different lover, um her first kid is probably Um, and then it's also
Maybe
like
these just
while
aren't a lot of
mounting
opioids.
evidence, it's also
Hmm.
while mounting evidence that uh her kids are not her husband's. They're
Hmm.
like, well, her kids have black hair and her husband has silver hair.
Right.
And um the guy but they don't tell you the color hair of Raina or the guy that she supposedly fucked.
Right.
Um they say like the kids were big and this guy, her lover, is big and
Right.
they don't have the same hair color as their dad. And it's like, well, we don't know if her husband was also big,
Hmm.
and we also don't know what hair color she has or
Yeah.
what hair color um her supposed boyfriend had.
Yeah.
So it's very like misleading information.
I remember watching the first season of Game of Thrones with my partner, who was a geneticist, and
Mhm.
he was just like, "Man, you couldn't have got away with this in the modern day because, like, we now know that black hair is dominant over blonde hair, and there's no chance that those kids would be blonde. So, like, clearly, Cersei's children are all, her brothers, which is
Mhm.
implied in the books, but like very, very strongly shown in the like Robert has dark
No,
black hair, and
it's said in the books that
but
they are all
they
Jamies
know.
when
No,
Ned
for sure.
confronts her. Um
Yeah, yeah.
what I think is really funny is
It's just more obvious if they're Jamaican. Hmm.
I was reading a blog post where someone talked about people were sharing stories about having a friend who doesn't know any Game of Thrones related things watch Game of Thrones for the first time with
Oh,
you.
good.
And one person was like, so I showed it to my girlfriend who is a double major in theater and history.
Hmm.
And Robert pops up and she immediately says, his wife's sleeping around. She doesn't even see the kids. She's just like,
Yeah. Oh,
his
this
wife's
guy's
cheating
definitely
on
bad.
him.
Hmm.
This guy's wife's cheating on him. And he then paused it and he's like, have you seen this before? And she's like, no, but like in old theater, someone having horns
Yes.
like is like buck rhymes with cuck,
Yeah.
like
You've been
rhyming
cuckolded.
joke.
Hmm.
Yeah. So like he's a king and he has horns on his crown. He's he's the king of the cucks.
Yep.
Like um and I just thought that was very funny and it's like, oh, also it's very clearly intentional because if you didn't think it was intentional, George R. R. Martin has other characters make that joke later, like
Oh
after
yeah.
Robert's dead.
Oh yes.
Like not about Robert specifically, but about like don't let your wife put horns on you or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yup.
So I just thought that was really funny that someone like, I know your literary references, George R. R. Martin.
Oh, this guy's wearing horns. He's
Uh
definitely been slept around on. Okay, got it. That's just old theater.
yeah.
Okay, there's the snow on this page. Where did I put my notes?
Um In the next few episodes of Chainsaw Man, you're gonna meet the Ghost Devil, who looks super rad.
Cool. Oh, speaking of ghosts, you have that game that you play that's very fun at cons.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
draw a Digimon that you've
Yes.
never seen before, and I will describe it to you. I love playing that game. I'm not as familiar with Digimon as I am with Pokemon. Um, and I was watching Drawfee, and they had an episode where it was like, yeah, we're gonna draw a Digimon. Um,
Good.
and so the one girl was like, hey, here are the rules of Digimon. Lots of accessories. They don't look anything like their previous evolution ever. And I don't remember what the third one was. And she's like, so I want you to draw. Was it Solmon? Solmon. And then was like, and that's it. The only descriptor you're gonna get is accessories. And she showed the picture of Solmon, or the Solmon's first evolution, which is like a spooky ghost with like a human face and lots of demony teeth. Which, very strong design. I love it. And so the other artist came up with this like really cool looking thing with like lots of like a cloak and cape and hat and lots of accessories. And then the reveal was that Solmon is just the initial Pokemon or initial Digimon, but with a hat.
Yeah, I had to look him up, and that's boring.
It's just the ghost guy, but now he's got like a top hat. You're like, but Julia, or I forget, it wasn't Julia, it was the other one. The only thing you told me was
You said that they
you said
don't. Yeah.
they don't look like their first form ever. Like, well, oops.
Led astray.
I played in a Digimon role playing game at one point. Very briefly. It was fun.
Yeah.
Getting new knowledge of Digimon. And I picked the little pink bird guy as my starting Digimon. Because of course I did.
And then they turn into Birdmon, and then they turn into a sexy harpy.
Good. They all turn into like a human form eventually. All I know is
Yeah.
Angieemon and Angie-Woomon. Because Angie-Woomon is just the funniest name in the world. Angie-Woomon. It's very silly. I like it. Alright, that's that page done. Some good dogs on this page. I'm gonna zoom in so everybody can see more good dogs. Prince is the lead dog. He's the goodest dog. Some good dogs.
They're just good dogs.
They're just good dogs. Now they're running away. So they can go back home and get some food.
Do you think Denji is a good dog?
Yes. He's a feral dog. He's like a little street dog. He's a good boy.
He is a good boy.
He got even more dog-like once his little sharp pointy teeth were there.
I do love anime randomly giving different characters fangs.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
I mean, the OG is always Inuyasha. That was like one of the first manga I ever read and fell in love with. Seen a
Inuyasha,
lot of
also a
fan
good
art
boy.
of that good boy. Based a role-playing character off of Inuyasha in my friend's Big Eyes Small Mouth game, who is basically Inuyasha but from the desert and a lizard demon instead of a dog demon. And if she got scared, her tail would fall off. It's very fun.
Good. Good, good, good.
She had a club instead of a big sword.
I love that Inuyasha is just Inuyasha and Kagome screaming each other's names over and over again.
Yes. Yep.
Inuyasha, Kagome, Inuyasha, Kagome.
Forever. Somebody posted one of those like, here's a relationship trope that I love, and it was just like two idiots argue with each other. And I was like, oh shit, oh that is one that I like. Crap.
That
Loved
is a good one.
Inuyasha. I loved it, and many other series. That is a favorite of mine.
I mean, that's also a favorite of Rumika Takahashi's.
Uh-huh. I mean, that's most of Ranma and Akane too. Just the two of
Yeah,
them yelling at each other.
that's definitely the thing that she wants to keep doing.
I mean, Rumiko, I feel you. Also, your comics, very good. Thank you. Right, bleak landscape, some trees at the side. I can do that. I forgot to post about it until like today, but I did that big project for Canada Reads, the CBC. Like, it's going to be shown across Canada thing, which is really
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Yeah, and one of the other trailers, because it's basically they pair up books with celebrities. The celebrities come and they like debate the merits of these different books and try to get Canada reading more stuff, which is neat. I like that. So one of the books in this year's was Kate Beaton's Ducks, which is really good, and I'm cheering for that one, even though that was not the trailer I worked on. I worked on one called Station 11, which is like a post-apocalypse. It's actually
Oh yeah,
post-plague.
you told me
Yeah,
about this one last
yeah.
time we were on air. Yeah.
I think I just finished that project, and I was like all finally de-stressed about it. Um, and yeah, and it was all about comic books. Like comic books save the world. So they wanted somebody with a really comic booky style. I was like, well, that's me. Hello. But it's finally up on the CBC website now, and a lot of people have been like, "Oh, this is so cool! I watched it today. Good job," which is nice.
Good.
I also get a pay for it, which is lovely. I do like that. I like a prompt payment on a freelance project. It's lovely.
Those are the best kind.
Mm-hmm. Do love it when at least the government has its crap together for paying artists. Nice, good, well done. Well, not the government, but the broadcasting corporation funded by the government, which is different.
Hey, the money got to you,
The
so
money got to me in record time, and I could not be happier. As my bank account is looking much nicer than it did a week ago. So yeah, that's up online. If anyone wants to watch it, you can just go to canadareads.ca, I think. Definitely check out the one for Kate Beaton's ducks. It's really cool. I really like the. They had actually two animators on that one instead of just one, and it's sort of the most animated out of all the trailers because we didn't get a ton of time to work on the pieces. But they had double the team as everyone else, so they animated quite a bit actually, and it's really lovely. What are your thoughts on the new Dungeons and Dragons movie?
um I have no thoughts because I am not a big Dungeons and Dragons person.
Yeah,
I found combat in Dungeons and Dragons
it's very boring. It takes a long time.
insufferable
Yeah,
and boring.
I'm there with you, and I love Dungeons. Well, I don't love Dungeons and Dragons. I like TTRPGs, of which Dungeons and
Mhm.
Dragons is an example. It's not my favorite one.
I was talking to Kevin the other day about how much can go wrong when you aren't on the same page as the people you're playing.
Yes. Oh my
Um,
god, yes.
because I think like so when I was playing, um, I think because I had heard people complain about people who treat their character like the main character of the campaign.
Yeah.
Um, I had heard like that as like a criticism of other people. Um, and so to go in the opposite direction, I was playing as a dragonborn bard who was a teen that was excited to be there.
Yes. Good.
And
It's a good
I
concept.
think the fact that my character had no backstory really, or like didn't have a big serious backstory that
Mm,
warranted discussion,
right.
really threw my DM because,
Right.
like, I was not thinking of, like, oh, they have this tragedy going on. It's more like they're a teen that wants to have an adventure.
With
You
friends.
as the DM can be cruel and dissuade them of it being a good idea.
Yeah.
But we don't need um tragic lost friend that needs to be rescued or
Right.
like
Right. Right.
I'm a character who is enthusiastically here because they're excited about the idea of being an adventurer.
Yeah. I want to be the
Um
coolest. I'm a shoujo kid. I want to be the coolest. These cool adventure friends.
yeah,
Good.
That's basically um
That's
and
a
so
fun
like I
concept. I
think
could work with that. I could make that work.
that really threw the DM. Also, I don't think any of anyone's characters had like a reason to be there.
Oh, that's always.
Um
Yeah.
like because like one person approached it with like, I want my wizard to at the end know these spells or whatever.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and one person was just there to sort of fight because they liked that part.
Right.
Whereas I liked everything except the fighting. I
Yeah.
kept trying to make role playing happen.
Yes.
Um
Same.
and the thing is like my character was so much of like a blabbermouth teen idiot that like there was a part where we had a spell cast on us that we had to tell the truth and like reveal information that we're asked about.
Good.
And my character was just blabbing so much
Excellent.
um because um they're an idiot.
Yes. Good.
Enough so that one of the other players asked if my character also failed the role, and I was like, "No,
No,
my character's just an idiot."
that's just how they are.
Like
Well, that's good role
they're
playing.
just
That's just good role playing.
they're just a dumb teen.
Perfect. I would have made this work at my table so much. Like if you were playing in my game, I would have rolled with that so much.
Well, if you want me to guest star on Trash Heroes or whatever,
I would
I
I
think
would
I
love to
have
bring that character back. That'd be neat.
I have the sheet of Zephyr, Zephyr the Dragonborn Bard.
Good.
Um, the other thing is uh I think our DM wanted us to fight. Like that was the solution to every problem.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's honestly my biggest problem with D&D as a game. So I like role playing or I like role playing games for the role play. Like I really like pretending to be a
Yeah.
different person and sort of being surprised by the decisions that this character makes that are like, oh, I wouldn't have done that, but this character definitely did. That's neat. Um, like that's where I really that's my bread and butter in these kind of games. Um, and different games can be designed to do different things or to like really roll to foster good role playing like that and like be like, okay, you could play it safe and do this, but like what if and like instead of just having mechanics for fighting all the time, what if there were mechanics for, you know, to encourage people to talk things out more or to
Like
not just stab it with
did
a
you
sword.
ever watch H Bomber Guy's video about uh Fallout New Vegas?
No.
A thing that he likes in Fallout New Vegas is um all of your stats affect speech.
Hmm.
Um because if you are maybe not the most charismatic, but you have a high science skill, you can successfully argue another scientist into doing what you want because you are explaining with science
Yes.
why
Yes.
your idea will work.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to be charismatic, you just have to clearly know your shit.
Exactly.
Um,
And it's like, okay, well that makes sense.
and
That's a good thing.
so yeah, so it's stuff like there's a guy and like the beginning of Fallout New Vegas is sort of a tutorial in this in that you have to run around and recruit people to help defend the town, and there's like an explosives guy and he doesn't
Oh.
care how many $5 words you know.
Yeah.
He needs to know that you are not going to blow yourself up.
Yes.
um because he is not giving dynamite to someone who
It's gonna just run out there and blow
he's
the fuck up.
gonna yeah, is just gonna waste it.
Yeah.
Like you if you have a high barter skill, you can talk the shopkeeper into giving free supplies because you can be like, well, so the economics of the situation, if these guys destroy the town, then like
It's
what
gonna
do
be
you
bad for
think, like
everybody.
they're
Yeah.
gonna like be nice and buy things from you,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
they're gonna like so you but you have to know enough about economics to make that argument for him.
Right.
um and so there's basically like and then there's a side quest where you're told to go get some data and because the last scientist they sent disappeared and didn't come back, and
Mm,
you find the data which is about how this place accidentally like mutated a bunch of people and made fungus monsters.
good.
And the scientist that you rescue is like, you should delete that data. Like, don't give it to those government guys. They will
Right.
not do anything good with it. And you can only if you have a high science skill, you can argue that, well, if we don't keep this data, then it is possible that we can accidentally repeat the mistakes made in this experiment. So it is better to keep the data um, rather than completely destroy all knowledge of it.
Right. Yeah, so it gives you more options than just like fight
Yeah.
and threaten with your gun until he does the thing that you want him to.
Also, thing is, if you have a high medical skill, turns out you can get in a lot of places very easily. Because being a doctor in a wasteland is
Super
extremely
useful.
valuable.
Yes, they're like, you can heal people? Great, get in here. We need you. We need like 10 of you right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So yeah,
And
so
there's
it's
certain
taking
games that
all
like,
this stuff and having it all affect speech. So and they're a separate skill from like charisma.
yes, I love that. I like that a lot. I've heard that the game Planescape Torment, or not Planescape Torment, Planescape whatever the next version is, there's like the sequel to Planescape Torment. That there is every situation can be resolved not with combat, and like you, there's
Hmm.
obviously like a combat option if you need to because it's a video game. But that like literally, even like you're like trapped in hell and there's this demon overseeing you, you can get out of that situation without resorting to combat, which I like a lot.
Um, that's also a thing that you can do in Fallout New Vegas. I believe
Nice.
people have done runs where they role play as Doctor Who.
Oh, nice.
Um, so they're just like maxed out science, charisma, intellect, like none of the fighty stuff. Uh, but yeah, I think that's interesting and probably a good way to go about
Hmm.
using speech. Um, and also what's fun is if your barter skill is high enough,
Hmm.
you can defeat the final boss with barter conversation.
Excellent. Good. I like that a
Um,
lot.
cause it's how much do you know about the plot of New Vegas?
Not very much. Um,
There's some the bad guys are ancient Rome cosplayers and they're
oh,
gonna
okay, good.
remake ancient Rome.
Good.
Um, and so um basically if your barter skill is high enough, you can say um ancient Rome fell because it was too big and they could not control all their supply, like they couldn't keep every aspect of it well supplied. So you are just repeating ancient Rome's mistakes and you do not have like the infrastructure to properly um, supply and have trade lines
Mm,
um, in your ancient Rome remake.
good. You are idiots. I
Um,
have figured out
so
the way
yeah,
around
so
that.
so if you have maxed out barter, you can um argue that,
Excellent.
and then you don't have to fight him.
Good. Where is my creative
It
materials?
is 10 o'clock.
It is. It's time to wrap for
Uh,
today.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for
Hope
joining
y'all have
us.
a good one.
We'll see
Uh,
y'all next time.
yeah, later.
Bye.
Bye.